Welcome to my channel. Make sure you subscribe, like and comment.
Hello, guys. Welcome once again to another day, another review and recap of both. We're gonna be doing the Mighty Medicine reunion part one and also the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Before we go ahead and talk about it, I want to first say I'm trying as much to give Real Housewives of Atlanta, a chance, but I don't think it's gonna be any better from last season. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not feeling the season, but I'm still gonna give it a chance. This is just the third episode, so I'm still gonna give it a chance. What did you feel about Brides and Mediterranean Part One and also the Real Housewives of Atlanta Episode 3?
Married to Medicine Part 1 was a bunch of rhetoric bullshit. And uh the Real Housewives of Atlanta, it's like, like at this point, I'm kind of starting to lose interest. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mm-hmm.
not giving. Like, what the heck? So like you said, I'm trying to stick in there. I'm trying to keep my mind in it. But so far I just kind of see it like if they don't turn it around soon, it's like they might as well just scrap it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I too have been saying the same thing that if it continues like this, I think maybe they should just, end the journey of Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Yeah.
Um, because the ladies, I just don't know what it is, but it's not giving authentic anymore.
No,
I,
and,
I
and it's given like, you know, as far as the Atlanta Housewives go, to me it's kind of given like, oh, but you don't like me, but I'm gonna try and be cool with you. Like, no, if you don't like me, we are not gonna get along. I'm not like
mm-hmm,
I'm not passing the olive branch, especially when I didn't start the shit. So, we'll get into that, but yeah, I'm just not liking where it's going.
mm. Okay, so like you said, my semester reunion part one was filled with a lot of rhetoric. So let's talk about it. Firstly, we got an opener of Phaedra's on-scene footage where she kind of bashed um the cast of Married to Medicine. What is your opinion about what Phaedra said in that unseen footage about the ladies?
The ladies have their issues. Yeah,
Yes.
at times, hell yeah, they could be mean. You know what I'm saying? Because look,
Yeah.
if that was like my friend group, they'd have been like, okay, living for my girl, she is off the chain. Should we invite her or should we not invite her? you
Yeah.
know, because I would be like, you know, don't befriend me and then turn on me. Or don't befriend me because you have an ulterior motive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So as far as what Phaedra said, yeah, I can completely understand it because I don't think she really had a real friend in the group. I don't know how much Phaedra was trying to be their friend other than, hey, let me go there and, get some TV time, cut a few
Yeah.
checks. You know what I'm saying? Because she knew she had ulterior motives where she probably had, she was pushing on once she was done with that, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe, just maybe, she was trying to see if it was some place that she could fit in. When she seen that, hey, I can't fit in. I got all these naysayers. They worried about me and my dollars and what I bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? And they not bringing shit to the table. You know, so I could kind of understand where Phaedra's coming from. You know what I'm saying? But then, Phaedra is known to be phony at times.
Mm.
and a shit starter and a bone carrier and a troublemaker.
Yeah. Oh, well, for me, like this comment from Facebook said, from Lanise Robinson said she said how she felt. Yeah, yeah, she's
Correct.
entitled to her feelings.
Yeah.
Everybody on this planet Earth is entitled to their feelings. If I feel a certain way, I'm entitled to my feelings. Now,
True.
does it mean every feelings you have is the right feelings? No. Does it mean that I know that there are sometimes I had feelings about a situation that even me myself I knew they were wrong to be feeling that way. But it's my feelings at the end of the day. So nobody's feelings should be taken for granted. But when it came to Phaedra, my problem is that it was coming from Phaedra. Now, if we do a comparison from last season to this season, I remember last season she was singing all their praises when everybody was gummy gummy. Uh, when everybody was close to her.
Hmm.
Um, Lanise, what do you mean? What can't I say? What did I say exactly that is actually like you felt like I'm wrong at it, so that I understand and I would explain to you what I mean by that. So when coming from Phaedra, right, like I was saying, coming from Phaedra, I don't trust it because last season when they were all close, chummy chummy, when it was all focused on Quad, she even on the reunion said that she would have preferred to have this lady have I don't know whether if you remember. She said that she wished that she had these ladies in her life earlier on. Probably she would not have been divorced with to Apollo. I don't know whether you remember the last year reunion, last season's reunion.
Yes, I do remember her saying that
Mm.
maybe that her marriage would have had a chance if she would have had that type of
Yeah,
support
because this
around
the
her.
bunch of ladies are different because they support marriage. They are there for people. Okay, Miss Robinson. All right. I guess maybe if you're off driving, you can let me know what you feel. So I'm looking at it that okay, fine. This isn't now when you are now they are now comfortable with you. They are free to behave with you. They now see you as part of them. They decided to now act the way they act around themselves. Right now, you
Right.
now feel a certain way. I understand that. I for one person, have not said that I love the way that I'm one person that advocates don't bring the ex in the mix. I have to advocate for that. Do not bring the ex in the mix for anything. It doesn't. It's a recipe for disaster,
Right.
especially when there are exes that are not really cordial. Don't bring them in the mix. I did not like when they brought Sweet Tea in the mix. I didn't like when they brought Apollo in the mix. So I'm not going to support Heavenly in that situation. But I understood that she knew about it, unlike Quad that didn't know about it and she just saw it happen. So she knew about it. She had time to strategize. She had time to even say, okay, I'm not going to be on this trip. You get it? But she decided to go. Sometimes I feel like she made that decision, right, to go. Then when
Hmm.
it became disastrous, she was not like trying to lay the blame on people. If if I was given the courtesy and being told that my ex was gonna be somewhere and I don't like that ex, simple and short, I'm not gonna be there.
Right.
I don't care whatever kind of party is it, whatever kind of event, whatever thing we're doing. If you call me to let me know that my ex is going to be at that venue, and I know me and my ex are not cool, um, I don't know if no, I don't know if you can do it from Facebook. Well, I will try to check on it, Miss Robinson, see whether you can do it from Facebook, and I will let you know. So, like I was saying, she decided to make that decision to go. Me, if I was told that my ex was coming, I would say no. Especially if we're in a very strenuous relationship, I would say no to save myself an embarrassment and save the person an embarrassment. Now, you decided to go. You that decided to bring check in the mix because probably you wanted to say, okay, fine, I'm living my own life just because he's married to. Now everything like blew up. You're not like, oh, those women are mean. I feel like, yes, I know these married to medicine women, they are on another planet. Simone, especially, she is one hell of a, I don't know. She has her own moments where she brings out a demonic side, Simone. I
Mhm.
know that, you know. But
Right.
for Phaedra to come out and say that the ladies are mean, I'm like, you are. I'm sorry to say, Phaedra is also a mean girl. We saw it through the Real Housewives. That's why she's like, because she's in the Mean Girls crew. She
Right.
was in the Mean Girls crew. So I feel like when a pot is calling kettle black, how do you do that? The both of you are black. Why is the calling the kettle black? You are both black.
Mhm.
So I didn't understand that. I didn't know where she was coming from, but I did understand what she felt. Maybe she felt hot. Maybe she thought that these women were going to be calmer than the Real Housewives, and that kind of messed it up. But her feelings are understandable. Yes, she's entitled to feel that she didn't feel comfortable. She didn't feel loved. But some of the words she said, I was like, yeah, that's like looking in the same mirror. Because if you ask me to describe Phaedra, I will use those same words to describe Phaedra for you too. That's just my own opinion.
Okay. I mean, completely understood. You know, I like I said, I just think that maybe Phaedra was expecting something from these women that she didn't receive.
Mm,
You know, and once she didn't receive it, she wasn't trying to like even let them close to her level. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
I just feel like who knows Phaedra's reasons for being unmarried to medicine, you know?
yeah,
I mean, she came in, she took her curtsy and her bow, picked up her check, and she's out, and she didn't have anything positive to say. I mean, her experience was her experience. You can't take
yeah.
that
Well,
from
it
her.
was her experience. She's entitled to her experience.
Yeah. I
You
mean, you
know.
can't you can't take that away from her because
Mm-hmm. Sure.
she lived that life.
Yeah, she went through it.
Yeah, exactly. But
She went
those are
through it.
yeah, those are not easy ladies to get along with because they're really established in the community within their um within their career choices, within their friendships. You know what I'm saying? And I think anybody coming into that is going to be kind of hard to get in. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to do
Mm,
a lot of bootlicking, you know,
mm,
to hang with those girls. And some women just, hey, they're, especially when you got shit going for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And you just want to be a
yeah.
community of strong black women, that have some things in common. Nobody needs all the extra rah-rah. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Especially when you're if you don't have motives behind why you're trying to be in this group. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
If you're coming with a pure heart, then yeah, I can understand, the grievances, but who knows what type of heart Phaedra was coming in with.
Yeah, this comment from Facebook said from Lenny's Robinson. She said to get back in Bravo. That was why she came to um marry to medicine.
Okay, I can
I
see
felt
that.
like she went to marry to medicine to still be on Bravo. That's what I felt
Mhm.
like.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
pick up a bag.
yeah.
Show herself, do her bow, her curtsy, and pick up a bag.
Well, let's move on to the next. Like, I'm just recapping the biggest moments that happened in the reunion. So the next big moment for me, and if you have any big moments you feel like we should discuss about, you can, talk about it, right? You can bring
Okay.
it up. So the next big moment for me was when Quad and Simone had that disagreement in this episode. And when I say I was over it, I mean I was over it. When I say Simone, like I said, she brings out her demonic side once in a while. This is part of the moment when I say Simone, she's on another level of demonic. Um I do understand the part where she was kind of insinuating that Quad gave them their ass to leak. I'm like, excuse me. I don't see. Like, I loved what Quad asked her. What exactly is your problem? Because sometimes you need to ask someone, because there's a way someone will be coming for you, right?
Right.
You need to be like, I don't understand. What exactly did I exactly do to you? Like, let me, because it seems like whatever I do, you're not getting it. What exactly did I do to you to make you in the certain level? Because for me, I don't still understand what is Simone's problem with Quad, that she has friends outside the circle. One, let me point it out. I don't know whether Simone understands. One, Quad is not their age mate.
Mhm.
Quad is not in their age group.
True.
So if you are expecting one close friendship of Quad and you guys, why? You guys have old children that are old enough. You know, you
Right.
have children that are out of college. And Quad doesn't. Quad cannot call you up and be like, let's go to the club. You're not in that age group.
Right.
So why are you so bitter that Quad doesn't really hang out with you guys when the cameras call? Why would she be hanging out so much? It's not something to think about. You are married with grown-house kids. Why would you be hanging out so much with Quad?
Yeah.
That should even be looking somehow. Because if Quad wants to party, even now she's dating King. Every single time they are not in the US. They're either traveling, they're in Ghana, they're in this, they're in that. Is that, someone that lives that kind of lifestyle? How will she be very close to you that hardly lives that kind of lifestyle with her? Like, I don't get Simone. I think Simone has to take a sit down and get off her high horses.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time she talks about Quad not being close to them, I'm like, girl, Quad is not in your age group. Like, when she sits down with you guys, what will she be discussing with you guys? Yeah, because there are some topics she will bring up and talk about with you guys. You guys might not even understand. And also, I don't get that part. And I just feel like Simone is just being problematic, in my opinion. What did you feel about their quarrel? That disagreement, not quarrel, the disagreement they had.
What did I feel about? Say that part again. I'm sorry, I didn't quite
What
hear
did you
all.
feel about Quad and Simone's disagreement in the reunion?
Um, I thought it was pretty silly. You know, I felt that, you know, what's her name?
Simone?
Simone. Yeah, Simone. Simone, she'll cut deep on you. You know what I'm saying? Because I say that because what she said to get a rise out of Quad about the family member who passed away, you know, I just think that that was just kind of low. You don't hit somebody when they already down. You don't kick them in the mouth, in the teeth when they already getting up off the ground. You know what I'm saying? So I just thought that was kind of low. You know, I do like the way the Quad asked her. So, like, what is like the problem? Let's hold on, Andy. Let's not skip over this. Like, let's see what the underlying uh resentment is here.
Yeah, let resentment. Yeah, because sometimes you need to do that.
Yeah, and call it out. And then she was like, but you advocate for the truth. You said this is all about, taking responsibilities, but you're not willing to take responsibility for your shit, you know? So, yeah, I like the way Quad called her out on that. Because Simone
Yeah.
ain't always right. Simone has a very loud mouth. She's
Yeah. She
almost,
thinks because she's the loudest, she's the rightest.
oh God, no. That's why I said these women are so hard to get along with. Her, Heavenly, Jackie's passive ass, you know. Uh I I couldn't be around these group of women. Cause like I said, they wouldn't invite me to no tea parties. I wouldn't be invited. They'd be like, we don't like that bitch there.
Oh my God. Anyway, moving on. We also had another disagreement in in the reunion yesterday's episode. We had Sweet Tea and Quad getting into disagreement. Now, this disagreement, I don't even know what to say because there was a lot of things happening. You know,
Yeah.
um, Quad. There's no way we're going to talk about Sweet Tea and Quad's disagreement without talking about Toya and Sweetie's disagreement, right? Now, let's
Hmm.
just talk about Sweetie's disagreement because it kind of compounded everything together. Sweetie and Toya decided Andy asked Toya how she was feeling, and she said she didn't like the sitting arrangement because apparently she didn't want to be seated close to Sweetie. And I knew because I covered this stuff during I think 3 weeks ago when
Hmm.
Sweetie called out Toya and was like, Toya was the one that asked her to go at Quad during the first season when she came on the show.
Right.
And Toya was the one pushing her. Even me, when I talked about it, I said, how does someone push you? I understand that people be coming to give you advice, but
Hmm.
you took the advice, right? Taking the advice is now your own choice.
Right.
You can come and give me an advice. Yes, it's your choice to come give me an advice. Now, me taking the advice you give to me, it's my own choice.
True.
Now, so what? Let's just say Toya did say that. Okay, you know, Quad is my enemy. We've been enemy for 6 years now. Let's I want you to come at Quad since you're Greg's new wife. Then you decided to do the same thing she asked you to do. I said, and I'll
Hmm.
keep on repeating. When Sweetie was chummy with the housewives, when they were chasing after Quad, when they were going against Quad, I said that this thing was going to bounce back as Sweetie. I
Hmm.
said it. I called it that Sweetie was going to bounce back at her because she's not going to like her. If this lady's turn against her, she's going to see the true colors of all of them. I said it. And now that is what has happened. Now,
Hmm.
she accusing Toya, for me, it doesn't make sense because let's say Toya told you that in secret, we don't know. There's no recording, there's no evidence for you to play.
Right.
So let me know, okay, yes, she really did say that. Let's just say, allegedly, somehow, Toya did tell you that. But why did you then accept,
Excuse me.
sorry, why did you then go with Toya's advice? Why did you decide that, okay, fine, since Toya told me, I'm gonna go with her head with it. Because at the end of the day, nobody saw when Toya told you, right?
True.
What everybody will see and what everybody is seeing is how you are coming for Quad, what you're saying about Quad. Nobody is seeing when Toya told you, oh, go for sweet and go for Quad. Now, when everything is now turning around, you're not like, oh, yeah, Toya told me that. No, don't be blaming anybody. Why own up. That was the thing I said in this reunion. I said, if Sweetie comes in this reunion and own up to her shit, I'm gonna love her. Like, I already like Sweetie, but I'm gonna love her. But she did opposite. There was a lot of trying to tweak and twerk some things that she has said on social media, on YouTube. And I'm like, you said those things with your full chest when you were saying them. So why are you kind of shifting, right? Why are you shifting? It doesn't make sense. Then you are blaming Toya. And I love what Quad told her. Quad told her, okay, Toya told you to do it. You decided to do it. At the end of the day, you decided to. And I love the example that Quad made. Quad was like, when I came to your party and Toya said, oh, leave. And I came to you personally and I said, should I leave? With gifts and everything. And you said, oh yeah, for the group, for the peace of the group and everything, leave. So you accepted. You wanted to be used as a pawn to revenge, to be a revenge, pawn. So you accepted. So don't come here throwing grenades back at Toya. You fell for it. Even if it's true or lies, you fell for it. Then when it came to the Sweetie versus Quad, that part was a total, I don't know, like for me it was a joke. There were some things that Sweetie was saying, and I was like, it was not necessary. Some things that Quad was saying, I was like, it was not necessary. But the part that I didn't understand was her still talking about the fact that Quad was jealous for Greg. The way those ladies were surprised when she said it, that's the way I too was surprised. Like, you could say something else. You could make any other accusation, not the jealous part. Like, why would she be jealous? She has a younger guy that has stamina that could go 15 rounds with her. Why would she be jealous of Greg? So for
Yeah.
me, that argument between her and Quad, for me, I felt more sad for Quad because Quad is the one, it's not Quad. I felt more sad for Sweetie because Sweetie is the one married to Greg. And for her to sit down there and you still open your mouth and say that you and Quad have not really had anything that would warrant you guys to be quarreling. So my question is, if Quad hasn't done something to you that deserves you guys to be fighting, why?
I can't hear you. Yuzo, I can't hear you. So let me just jump in real quick. Oh, excuse me for being kind of winded. I just been walking around the house real quick, but trying to set myself in a different room. So yeah, I don't think that Quad is jealous of Sweet Tea's relationship with Greg. Like I don't think any woman in her right mind is gonna be jealous of another woman who who feels like she could fill her shoes in a failed relationship. That doesn't make any sense. You know, and then, with the things that Greg said, all the disrespect he showed Quad, in the past when they were married. Like, no, Quad would be a fucking lunatic to to be jealous of that situation because somebody else has stepped into that spot. Quad look like she's living her best life. Which is, hey, that's wonderful. I'm loving it. You know what I'm saying? And I just think Sweet Tea is just reaching right now. She's stabbing in the dark, reaching at straws, whatever you want to call it. You know, for to have a, a gripe with Quad. You know, even the little past vacation that they had isn't really a reason to have a gripe with Quad because her and Quad didn't like faced off at the little trip that everybody took. What happened was between Gregory and King, and that had nothing to do with Quad and Sweet Tea. So I just think that Sweet Tea is just kind of reaching at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I
Yeah.
said, why would Quad be jealous of somebody who has been abusive, verbally in a failed
Exactly.
in a failed marriage? She would
Like
have to
that part
be,
shocked me when I heard it.
yeah, she had to be fucking crazy to be jealous of wanting to be back in that spot or feel like,
Yeah.
oh, she's getting the love that I didn't receive. Like at this point, like who
Yeah. You know
cares?
what she said? The fact is that I watched the YouTube video when she said this. And when she said it, I was like, sweetie, that when I tell you that sweetie, you know how heavenly, how people say heavenly is very talkative on her YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
Sweetie is another version of heavenly
Okay.
on her YouTube. She's so talkative, she's so proud and loud on her YouTube. That's why I thought that when she came on this reunion, she was gonna stand on her ground the way she was always talking on YouTube. That day when she said it, a lot of people were even like, man, no, you've lost the plot line. No, you just say something else. She even said in one of the, I think the interview she did, I think with the show that Andy does after the episodes,
Right.
what happens life with Andy or something like that. What that's the name.
Yes.
She was there with Contessa, and they asked her about the fight between Queen King and Greg, and she said King is doing too much, that he's listening so much to Quad, that's why, that he should not be in Quad's business. And I'm like, but you are in Greg's business when it comes to Quad.
Right.
Why are you now complaining when King wants to be in his woman's business? Like, you're in your own man's business. You always say how you're going to protect your man. So you can protect your man and be in your man's business, but another person's man cannot be in his woman's business. Be fucking for real.
I mean,
I feel like she's just so much up her ass. I don't know, that she feels like, I don't know. I just felt like you said, it was a very stupid thing she did. And and that Toya part, I love the way Toya like tore her down. Don't come up here throwing grenade at me. Even if I did tell you that, you on your own decided to go with what I told you.
you know, let's say that Toya did say that. You know, like Letitia, how old is Letitia? About 33, 34
Mhm.
ish, somewhere up in there. This is like high school. If somebody is telling me, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna introduce you to this person, but you know what? Give them hell. You know, rah 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 to them every time they got something smart to say. Look, I'm not gonna listen to you for one. I'm gonna make my own opinion, you know, and I'm gonna treat people accordingly how they treat me. That's first off.
Yeah.
You know, I'm grown enough to make my own decisions, you know, with love, life, marriage, food, choices, you know. Ain't no way I would have fell into a trap like that. But since she did, because it looks like she, if that was the truth, then that means she's a little on the gullible side, you know. Um, that's not a way to make friends, you know, being against your new friends as enemies when you don't know nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? And all you know is this is your ex's, your new husband's ex, you know. I mean, if anything, I would have been trying to figure out, why are you guys divorced? You know what I'm saying? What happened? I would want to know both sides from each of them, so I can come to my own conclusion. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But no words are really needed when you look at the actions of Greg. Like I said, Greg is a loose cannon. You know what I'm saying? He looked like he delivered ass whoopings on purpose. You know? So I'm not saying he's a wife beater, but he is a very disrespectful old ass nigga who, just because he's a doctor, he feels like he's running shit. You know what I'm saying? And I
Mhm.
noticed another thing about Greg. Greg, not saying that he gets women underneath him or beneath him, because nobody's beneath anybody. But
Mhm.
if he had a strong career black woman close to his age that he married that has been through the shit, he wouldn't be able to get away with all that. You know what I'm saying? Because he
Mhm.
he just seems like he's very intimidating. You know, and being in your 30s and you got somebody so much older than you that you're loving on, yeah, it could be intimidating. You know, so I don't know. Sweet Tea, oh, I just said she got herself in a hell of a situation right there. You know,
Mhm.
I'm hoping everything works out for the best with her and Greg, but I don't know. You know, and I'm glad the way Toya did call her a little bit on her shit. You know, because so far Toya seems to be the voice of reason with these women. You know, she calls them out on their shit. You know, so it's just a crazy situation. I just think, like I said, this group is really hard to get into, and especially if you're new and then you're younger than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
they're gonna have something to say. They say she dresses real homey and this and that. If she was dressing like explicitly sexy as hell, y'all would have a problem with that.
Mhm.
Because you guys gonna feel like she's doing that purposely to get attention from your husbands, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know what you want from the girl, you know what I'm saying? I think she dresses fine. She's a doctor's wife, you know. Let her be young and carefree as she can possibly be right now, you know. Because hell, uh Quad says she's what, 43. You know, she looks good for 43. I like to see what 53 looks like on her. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Jackie and them is what? In their 50s, mid 50s?
Mhm.
You know? And so far, they just seem like bittered old chicks. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Be the old cheese.
Yeah. Instead of just being happy. Well, I'm just saying, instead of being happy in the space that they're in. You know what I'm saying? You would think from their perspective, and that they would be giving like, good advice, loving hugs. Hey, girl, you know, I I can help you with that. I can show you how to do it, or if you need some support, here I am, day or night. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Nah, these are some bitter old broads right here. you know, they got everything going for them, but you know, they got some fucked up attitudes about certain shit and certain people. You know,
Yeah.
they don't really want to expand their group really. They're satisfied with what they have.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and talk about Contessa and Heavenly. Right. They talked about the issues they've been having this season. Contessa and Heavenly has always had fight before Contessa left the show. Now back on the show, Contessa still has issues with Heavenly. And now they talk about it in this reunion. Now, this is where I feel like these ladies be on some shit. They talked about the fact that Contessa said Damon has mixed babies or something like that. Like, Contessa, you still repeated this thing. If it was Heavenly that said this thing about your man, you will be raking hell, right? Now,
Right.
where the problem I had was when Andy was like, okay, what streets did you hear this? Like, where is the streets you've been hearing this thing? And Contessa went to the whole, like, the ladies, and I was like, oh, haven't you guys been hearing this too? And the ladies were like, we had, we saw, Jackie was like, no, she never heard that. Quad was like, no, she never heard that. But Toya, surprisingly, not really surprising, but the one that surprised me was, what's her name? Oh, what's her name again? Sir? Dr. Simone said she has heard about it. And I'm like, you know what? I said something when she immediately she said that. I said, if you've heard about this, why didn't you tell Heavenly secretly? Why are you saying it on the reunion? Why do you think like it's the reunion that you're supposed to say that? For me, no matter how this lady preaches how she's a good friend or what, I'm gonna say it. Dr. Simone is one demonic person. I'm sorry. Her saying that she has heard about the baby thing, somebody has told her about the baby thing. You heard from someone that a friend of yours, her husband probably has a baby outside, and you didn't think it wise to tell the friend of yours. Then waited until reunion and said it. Please make it make sense. For me, that didn't make sense at all. Well, how did you feel about the ladies talking about Contessa and the ladies talking about Heavenly's husband?
Hmm. Well, we know that Simone and Heavenly really aren't that close, but if Simone had heard this, or when Simone heard this, why didn't she go to Jackie and say, "Hey, Jackie, girl, like, do you know what just happened? I ran into this chick. She said this, that, and the other, and she said Damon asked for a phone number. Like, what's up with that shit?" It, that's how I would have approached it, because she's closer to Jackie. Jackie's closer to Heavenly, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, do I believe it? I'm gonna go back on what my daddy used to tell me when he was trying to teach me how men were. He said a hard doesn't have a conscience. See what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, in other words, you can't put nothing past a man. They're saying a man's gonna be a
Sure.
man.
Yeah.
I don't put nothing past a man. I'd be a fool to close my eyes and say it would never happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but do I believe it about Damon? Hmm. Not really. Not really. You know what I'm saying? He don't even seem
Yeah.
like he's built like that. He seemed like he's a man's man. He's a one woman's man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he got kids, that are grown. He's an empty nester, you know. And right now, the only thing I really, I hate to say it, I don't think he's the sugar daddy type,
Mm.
you know. And he don't look like he's gonna destroy. I mean, look at the kingdom they built up. You know what I'm saying? The two of them, both doctors. You know, like would he ruin that for a a quickie or a romance or you know what I'm saying? He doesn't seem like he's the type. You know what I'm saying? So again, to go back to why didn't Simone say something to Jackie? I don't know. You know, now Toya said she heard it. Toya got a big mouth. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Toya didn't get around to saying it yet. Maybe she was gonna wait and throw a party to say it. I don't know, but it's crazy. I sure like to see what the outcome of this would be.
Yeah. For me, you know what? I'm not gonna put it past him whether, yeah, like you said, I'm not gonna put it past him whether it is true or not. But do I feel like that's how it should be handled? Because right now, Heavenly is going heavy and hard on Simone and the rest on social media. Because if at one time I saw you as a friend and I was close to you and you heard my husband was cheating, it's one thing coming from Contessa, right? Because it's like, okay, she has beef with me, you know. I know she's
Yeah,
gonna say anything to hurt me.
you
That
know,
is different.
I just want to say this.
Yeah.
Contessa, everything that happened between Contessa and Heavenly, I don't know why Contessa would feel lax enough to say whatever her marital problems were with her husband. You know, say it inside of your brain first. Talk to yourself as you're at home by yourself in the house. Talk to yourself. I talk to myself all the damn time. You know what I'm saying? And I answer myself. You know what I'm saying? That's my therapy. You know, I'm not going to go out and tell one of my associates or work buddies, or a friend, like what I'm going through personally in my marriage. You know what I'm saying? What if you get a hair up your ass one day and you just want to just start saying, hey, yeah, we're living for my girls, da 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 about her shit? No, you will not have personal information like that. That's like me giving you my damn social security number. The hell I want to do that for? You know? So that I it's all on Contessa because she should have just kept that shit to herself, you know, uh go see a psych or whoever you need to talk to yourself, talk to Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Write it in a journal, write a book about it, anything besides give it to the blabbermouth of the town. you know.
Yeah.
So I blame that on her.
Well, let's just see how that will play out because I feel like that's wrong. We'll see like the reunion part two. I guess it's gonna be Quad versus um Simone and Damon versus Greg. So I want to see how that will actually play out. I'm surprised that Damon and Greg, like the way Greg made it look as if okay they're forgiving each other, just for me to be finding out that Greg didn't want to see Damon's patients. Wow.
Yeah, I kind of remember that being mentioned like episodes ago,
Hmm.
because of what Heavenly was doing, you know, um, what she was broadcasting on her podcast
Yeah,
and
I
even,
know. Yeah.
yeah, so, y- you know, I think when you get feelings, when you put emotions, personal emotions, as far as friendships with a professional of being doctors, and then you have patients. You know what I'm saying? You have a duty because you were
Yeah,
sworn
exactly.
in.
That was my thought.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you were
You have a
sworn in.
duty.
Yeah,
Emotions aside.
yeah. You know, treat the patients how you're supposed to treat a patient. You know, and turning somebody away that he's a psychiatrist. So you
Mhm.
turning sick minds loose on the streets because you don't want to help them because you got a grievance with your homeboy. What? That's just fucking crazy.
Mhm.
These
Yeah.
people need to like really grow up, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
But Greg got some issues he needs to fix his damn self. And that's one of them.
I well, at the end of the day, we're gonna see. I don't want to talk yet, so till I see the episode to really know what exactly is the full scope of what is going on before I give my inputs. But it will be nice to see what is happening because this is the first time we've ever been to my to medicine reunion where the men are fighting. Every other reunion, the men are cool, while the women are the ones like going at it. So this is a change
Most definitely.
where we have the men fighting. Like, yeah, very surprising. Like, I've seen it on Real Housewives, but I haven't seen it ever in the 11th season. Okay, in the 10 seasons of Mighty Medicine, I haven't seen it on Mighty Medicine. Now, this 11th season, it's something that is fresh. I want to see how that will play out between the men
But
and,
yeah, but you know
yeah.
why it's never really played out? Because nobody has ever challenged Heavenly.
Mm,
Has
okay.
Heavenly has said some sharp shit, you know,
Yeah.
from Mariah and Mariah's husband, Mariah's daughter. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could go on and on and on.
You
Heavenly
know,
has
no,
said it's
Heavenly is on another league.
yeah, but
You
I'm
know,
saying nobody has no male.
ever
It's
challenge.
always it's
Oh.
always been the women, but no husband has ever said, "Hey, like, what's up with your wife? You can't control her." You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Like,
no, now
why is
I
she
get.
why is she doing X, Y, and Z? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up? I thought we was homies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's up with your wife? You know,
Mm,
nobody has ever came to Heavenly like that. And of course,
mm,
Damon, being the gentle giant that he is, You know, he's gonna protect
Mm.
Heavenly. That's his world. He built a life with that woman.
That one.
You know, so
You know.
yeah,
So
he's
yeah.
gonna protect her. You know, whether she's wrong, right, or indifferent. You know, we don't know what they say behind closed doors, what kind of conversations he says to her, like, babe, do you think you can kind of pipe that down a little bit, or reel it in some, or Heavenly, stop that shit. We don't know what he's saying,
Mm-hmm.
you know but he's a gentle giant. He's gonna protect Heavenly no matter what.
Yeah, but also the biggest fight was also Greg and King. That wasn't caused by anybody saying bad things about the person. It was just caused by pure malice and unresolved feelings.
Right.
So that one was not caused by Heavenly. That was caused by Greg and Quad and Sweetie and King.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, even though King says he wasn't really paying attention when Greg was saying that, when they were like all in their little um group, couples
Yeah.
group circle, and he was like, well, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't hear you say that. He was looking right back at him as he was saying it. His head was turned towards Greg. So what you was just
Yeah.
zoning out,
No,
or
for me, I can excuse that because there are so many of times that I've been in groups with my friends and somebody is talking, and sometimes people will not be like, "Oh, did you hear one? They said this," and I'll be like, "Oh, I didn't hear that." And I might be looking at you.
mm,
I, you would think heard or took every single word you said, but I might not have, and especially when it's chaotic, like how it was in that particular situation where it was already getting hot. So I excuse it that because probably he didn't hear that part, or mentally, sometimes your brain doesn't just want to hear some things.
right,
You just block your mind to not, your mind, even if you heard it, that kind of thing has happened where I've heard something, but I don't know how it is. My mind just blocked it. That I didn't hear it because probably it was just too bad for me to comprehend at that moment. Like, ooh, that was sad, you know. So me, I just gave that excuse that he might have been looking because you could see that in his face there was genuine. Oh, you said that to her. It didn't look as if he was acting again. And I've kind of watched him throughout the season. He didn't have so much scenes, but you could feel that this is his first time being on TV. Sometimes you could notice his nervousness, and so I didn't think for one moment that maybe he was trying to act. I don't know whether you get what I mean.
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying he was trying to act. I'm saying, was he not paying attention? When his
Probably.
uh, I'm gonna give him
And
that.
maybe at that moment he was like shocked, like, why are the both of you, that kind of thing. You're just like, why are the both of you arguing, that kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
in his
well,
mind, yeah, go on, go
yeah,
on.
no, well, maybe he was thinking like, damn, are they really arguing like this? Like they're still in
Mm-hmm.
a relationship? Like this divorce is still fresh? Like, hasn't it been years? Like, what is? I probably would have been tripping. Like, okay, what is going on? But still, I'm gonna tune in to what she's saying and what he's saying, because see, I somewhere in between this bullshit is the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you guys are cutting each other down like this after years, and you're amongst a group in a setting, and you're tearing each other down like this, there's some unresolved feelings here. And I just don't want
Mm-hmm.
to be a part of it. I got better things to do. So I'm gonna give him that. I'm gonna give King that. He 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 probably was, maybe it was the liquor and Quad yelling in his ear where he couldn't really hear what Greg
Yeah.
was saying. I'm gonna give him that. But I
Yeah.
can't wait to see how they resolve this, if they can.
Yeah. I like I say, I can't wait to see how the men resolve their issues. Well, let's go ahead and jump up. Okay, is there anything that we want to talk about that I didn't bring up? Um,
No, we covered it all.
okay. Let's go ahead and talk about Three Housewives.
Okay.
Like I said, it was disappointing. A very disappointing episode. I don't know. I literally, I was like, what am I watching? Well, let's just go ahead and talk about the most important parts because for me, I'm not going to waste my energy talking about very unimportant places. Like, I didn't have to sit through watching Brittany or Bethany or whatever her name is sit with her siblings talking about her relationships. What did I get
Yeah.
from that conversation?
Right.
It was the most useless conversation ever. I didn't learn anything. I was like, what are they doing?
No, the only thing I said was, okay, nice house. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I got from it. Nice house, good food.
The only
You
thing I
know,
said was okay, nice house.
yeah, nice house, good
Oh
food. You
God.
know,
Mm.
you know.
Oh wow. Oh Jesus. Now let's go to the part where we had Drew and Kenya and Angela and Cynthia meeting up with Kenya, Cynthia meeting up in Drew's studio and they were talking about, what's up the occurrence between her, Porsha, and the rest. Now, see, I'm not gonna lie, episode 3, I am tired already. And I think I was talking to my sister and I said, if it's this Dennis and Porsha and Drew storyline is gonna be the storyline for Drew, Porsha, I'm gonna be tired. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm already exhausted over that.
You
You
said
know
you're
what I'm
already
saying?
exhausted.
Yeah, I'm already exhausted. You know, Drew's gonna do what she wants to do because she feels like, hey, this is her get back time, for her husband. I mean, look at all the shit she done accused him of. You know what I'm saying? And Dennis just happens to be collateral damage because, you know, like we never knew Dennis to
Mm-hmm.
have anything to do with music. You know what I'm saying? So all of a
Well,
sudden
Porsha
now
said that he produced music.
he produced a baby song or album or
Ah!
like for their daughter. You know what I'm saying?
Are you
To
trying
make
to
her,
shade him?
to make, I guess, to make her dance or, around the house or whatever. Okay, nice. But anything serious, you know, I don't know how all of a sudden he's a producer, he's picking her songs, he's paid for the songs and the production of the songs already. And like, what kind of arrangement do you guys have? You know what I'm
I don't know.
saying?
Maybe it's also opportunity for him to be on the show. Being on the show is also publicity. You
Probably
know that,
so.
right?
Yeah, of course.
Uh-huh.
Of course. Maybe you
But
could sell more hot dogs and shit. You know?
no. So maybe you could say,
Well, I'm just saying, being on the show is, people gonna want to come and say, "Oh yeah, we seen you on the Housewives. Can I get an autograph? Whoop whoop whoop, and let me get 5 of those hot dogs." You know what I'm saying? So yeah, good
yeah.
publicity stunt. Like he said, "Hey, Drew is doing this because she wants to use this platform for her music."
Mm-hmm.
Drew, look, you've had plenty of opportunity on hiatus when you guys were on hiatus to get your shit rocking. You said you've been doing all these concerts and these shows and whoop 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 and okay, but we haven't heard nothing. And not until you were on the show again. on the Atlanta Housewives again. I hadn't heard nothing about Drew doing nothing since the last season of the Housewives, you know?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden now you need this as your platform. Like, no, you need a storyline too.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ralph don't seem like he's really taping with you. He's downstairs in the basement and you're not allowed to go down there. So how y'all gonna really tape? Even though I did see a little snippet of them look like they were in their backyards talking. You know what I'm saying? But that's probably all we're gonna really get from him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
where else does she have a storyline at?
And also, we saw Shamise talking to her sisters. When I say that that scene was so irrelevant to me, I'm sorry. It was an emotional scene, but we've had that same topic last week when is it last week or the first episode? When she met with her surrogate and they talked
Mhm.
about the kid and her sickness and everything. I think I'd already had that, you know, I already had a view of what her children's life is all about. Now to
Right.
have her talking with her sisters again about it, I'm like, damn, really? Is this what it is? At that point, I was already tired of the episode. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm. Well, I
At that
mean,
point,
when I seen it, it kind of, you know, there are women that are probably going through the same thing that she's going through. I was just kind
yeah.
of glad that she had an intimate conversation. She let us know where her support was coming from. You know,
Mm-hmm.
she has one sister who's sick herself that steps in. And then she got her
Mm-hmm.
older sister. You know what I'm saying? So that was nice to see. And then she still wants to keep giving birth. She still wants to expand her family. Talking about Shamina, um she's still trying to expand her family. She still has a very young family that she has in front of her already. And it looks like they have, well, one of them has a special need, you know and I'm not too sure if the other daughter was, no, the other daughter wasn't sick. It was just the
I think
baby.
that is the one she had from the surrogate that has.
Right, right. So now they're trying to do a surrogate, you know I mean, I commend her. I
No,
commend
like what
Shamina.
I'm not saying the story was not touching. Like I said, it was an emotional thing. But I've
Right.
heard this story before when she spoke with her surrogate, the
Okay.
owner of the surrogate company or whatever, the one that carried the other child
Right.
that she has. So I
Hmm.
kind of know what it's all about, her pregnancy and how she got pregnant, the life with her child with special needs, and everything. I already got that from
Right.
that episode. Now to now have another like maybe like 10 minutes. I'm like, it seems like what I'm feeling is like they're lacking storyline and they're trying to just do a lot of fillers. That's what this season is giving me. I'm sorry. That they're lacking storylines and they're giving fillers because we also got to see um Drew speak with her lawyer. I'm like, why do I need to see that? Just for the lawyer to tell me, oh, it will come out that you accused Ralph for cheating, Ralph for stealing, Ralph for. I'm like, what is this?
Mm.
I didn't need that.
Yeah.
I didn't absolutely need that. But you know what? Like I said, they just want to, because I feel like these ladies are not really showing us their life.
Hmm.
They just show us like, I don't know. It's just my opinion.
uh, okay, you're saying that it's not the real gritty, authentic reality part of their lives.
Yeah, of their lives.
They're showing us the glammed up, uh yeah, you call me a bitch, I'm gonna call
Version.
you a bitch back type of life. And they're not showing the everyday.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I get it.
And now we also had Portia talking to her mom. That part, yes, that part I kind of like, okay, I want to listen, not because it was interesting, but I wanted to listen to what Portia has to say and what lame excuse she wanted to give about the Simon's marriage. You know what? Even I, that is not married to Simon, I knew that Simon was a fraud. I'm sorry. I knew that Simon was a fraud. It's not hard. From when I knew Simon from my screen when he was still with what's her name? Uh,
First wife, 10th
his
wife,
first
or
wife, right?
well, it wasn't his first, because Portia said he been married what 5 or 6 times. So the one before her.
Yeah, yeah, the one before her. I was like, I knew this guy was not for real.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we women we would see it and I ignore it. And I think that's what Portia did. She just saw the glamour and the golds and the diamonds and said, you know what? I'm gonna blind myself to every other thing.
Um,
Sometimes we do it. And now she was complaining like, um, she said something like in Benin, where Simon is from, Benin in Nigeria, that you have to go to the family and tell them you want to ask for a divorce. I'm like, who said that? Where did she hear that from? Is she a Nigerian?
yeah,
No. No, nobody asks you to do that. You just want to see, that's why I don't like people be talking about cultures that they don't know about. She's not
right.
a Nigerian, so nobody is asking her. It's not a tradition for her to do. I feel like maybe she was trying to get something out of Simon, or maybe she was trying to, probably at that time, trying to make the marriage work.
Mm.
You know, for me, I didn't understand why she was calling the family. When she said that, I was like, for what? For what reason? You wanted to divorce him. Why are you calling the family? You're not from Nigeria, one. You're not from their state. When an American, nobody bothers about a Nigerian mind and an American when they want to get divorced. Nobody's bothered about you wanting to call them to let them know that, oh, I'm divorcing them. The only time is if you are beloved, like maybe you are so loved in that family, like they take you like a daughter. And I don't think that that's the relationship that Phaedra, I'm sorry, Porsha has with the family of Simon.
Mm-hmm.
So her trying to be like, oh, I called his uncles in Benin and they were like, yeah, go ahead with the divorce. Like, what you want them to say? Don't go ahead with the divorce? Like that whole scene with the mom trying to paint one picture. I'm like, girl, take several seats. You knew that man was a fraud. You knew he was into some shady things, but you blocked your eyes to it because you saw shining gold. And now now that same thing you blocked your eyes to has come knocking at your door. You are now forming what?
Well, I just look at it like this: the same way
Yeah.
you get them is the same way you gonna lose them. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't even yours to even keep. He was with somebody else. So
Mm-hmm.
how long did you think that fairy tale was gonna last? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
Man,
I I don't feel bad for her. What I feel bad is for that she, you know, as a single mom, you know, and having a newly um kind of toddlerish
yeah.
child. You bring your child, or you bring yourself and your child around this man. You try and make a home with him. Now you're confusing the hell out your daughter. Because I know she know who her daddy is, but Now you're gonna have her asking about, well, what happened to such and such. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When you knew, when you first got into this, your baby was still, like what, 1.5 years old, maybe 2, and you start messing around with Simon. But you thought that was a good idea for everybody involved? So I don't
Yeah.
feel bad for her. I don't feel bad for Porsha. You
I
you reap what you sow. Shit.
I don't also feel bad for her at all. I don't I people I there's no way. See, there is no Nigerian you will speak to that will tell you they feel bad for Porsche. There
Hmm.
is no Nigerian you will speak to that will tell you that they feel bad for Porsche. Because you
Right.
know why? Porsche saw the signs.
Right.
It was there.
Hmm.
It was there. But because she was blinded by whatever she was getting, you know, hi Ladon. But that stuff she was getting, that gold she was getting, that big mansion she was living in, the spending they were spending, going to different countries, was blocking her eyes to
Hmm.
see that Simon was nothing but a very big fraud. I was surprised that it lasted this long. See, Simon is a very good fraudster because that man has lasted a long while.
Hmm.
He has lasted a long while. So for me, her coming to be like, oh, I saw him as my protector. I was like, eh? Where? When? How? The only thing you were saying was the money. Yeah, money can protect you. Yeah. Don't tell me you saw Simon as a protector. You tell me you saw the money as a protection. Don't
Hmm.
come here being coming, I saw him as your protector and everything. I just can't feel bad for Porsha when it comes to this Simon thing, especially with the way that it went down with Simon and his first wife, and Simon then getting married to Porsha. You know, then even when people were telling her Simon was not a good guy, at that time she was, coming for people against Simon.
Hmm.
I remember.
Wow.
So many people were not really happy that she was getting married to Simon. Like,
Right.
now coming here to be like, oh, he's a bad, please,
Hmm.
please, your decisions, your whatever comes with it, take it with all input. Like, just take it in. Like, you caused it. You decided to be deaf to everybody's plea.
So you telling her to take it chin out, chest out, chin up.
Exactly. Don't come here crying. Simon is. You knew that man was that way. Simon coming online, talking shit on social media. You knew he was that way because he did the same thing with his first wife.
Hmm.
But you know why you didn't, you felt like he was good there because you felt like at that time he was trying to do all those things so as to finally be with you. So you felt it was okay. But now that the tables has turned, now he's doing it to you.
Yeah.
You're not
Well.
like, oh, I never knew that Simon was like that part where she said the Simon now is not the Simon that I married. Well, excuse me, that was the Simon you married.
What? Why not? He did the same thing that he's doing to her, to the wife he got rid of just to be with her. Wait,
Exactly,
what?
that's what I'm saying. He did the same thing.
Does she not think homegirl felt confused and like, oh damn, my world has crumbled because I put all my trust in this man. You know, I'm dependent on him for everything. You know, I'm giving him my mind, body, heart, and spirit. You know what I'm saying? Portia played herself. You know what I'm saying? I can't be mad at Simon. You know, it's like this. Don't hate the game, hate the
Hey,
players.
the player, yeah.
you know,
Exactly. You are not wrong. You ain't wrong. You're
You know,
wrong.
shit. I mean, hey, she played herself. You know what
She
I'm
really
saying?
played. She played herself big time.
Yeah, you know now if she was really, you know, of that type of chick, she should have had her shit all lined up. You know what I'm saying? As long as she's been with him, she could have been like trying to get her own shit started. Do your own thing. You know what I'm saying? Build your own empire. You know, at least for your daughter. You know, are you waiting on Hot Dog King to leave his business to her? Like, you know, what are you doing besides, you know, giving up your time and your body to somebody who doesn't fucking respect you and never will?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Exactly.
what did you think you was gonna gain from that shit? You know, part-time parties, you could have threw your own self a damn party. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
You had a nice house. You know, I seen it on the show. You had a bad house. You was doing the damn thing, but somewhere down the line, you decided you was gonna be a gold digger. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and hell, you didn't even dig gold. You dug rocks. You know, because
Yeah.
now here's all this damn legal trouble. Here's the facade. Here's the headaches. Here's the he's locking me out. He's bringing bitches up in the crib. Like, oh
Where
Lord,
was? Why
that's a
didn't you say
lot.
all these things all these years? All of a sudden, he's been doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
All these years, you didn't say anything.
Exactly.
Man, they they can take several seats. Like that's why I say I cannot feel any ounce of pity for Porsha. I can't.
Yeah, you
I
get the
can't.
life you deserve. You know what I'm
Uh-huh,
saying?
I can't. She brought it upon herself. It should have been a different thing if she just met this man, married him without knowing. But she knew who he was. But she decided to be blind to it. So that's her choice. That's her choice. Now we also saw Shemi's. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm very bad in pronunciation of names. And Angela get into it during that event they were doing, charity event.
Uh,
Now, do you think that was the most useless quarrel in the entirety of Red Series? Because I didn't understand why were they quarreling? Why? For me, it felt produced. I'm sorry.
what
The fight
argument?
between Shamis and Angela.
Oh, them two. Okay, before I get into it, I just want to say, what's up, Ladon? I just seen your little comment. But yeah, that I don't even know why they're even arguing about that. I mean, you know, inquisitive minds wanted to know. Shamia was an inquisitive mind at the time who wanted to ask Drew, like, so Drew, like, are you and Dennis like seeing each other? She didn't say effing. She said, are you guys dating? Because I seen pictures of y'all in the club. You know, now I remember that conversation. You know, she's an inquiring mind. Portia's her home girl, you know, but you know, she really didn't say too much when we first got introduced to Bree and who was that? Bree and
The other
uh
lady.
yeah, the one with the little waffle place, chicken and waffles. When they were having their little cocktails and she was like, "Why'd that lady take her man, take her that lady's husband?" You know, she wasn't like saying, "Hey, like, hold up, that's my girl. What the fuck are you talking about?" You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like, why you in grown folks' business? You know what I'm saying? She didn't get her straight. But instead she carried the bone. Excuse me, she carried the bone on to Portia. You know, and said, "Oh yeah, well, they said that, this is that, and the other." You know, so and then for Shamea to even get into it with Angela, over Angela kind of stepping in like on Drew's side. Yeah, it was just nonsense for me. It was really nonsense. The name calling, all of it, nonsense.
Yeah, I was like, what is like it was it was like I don't still understand the fight.
No, I definitely didn't either. No, as you say,
I
it was a filler.
yeah, yeah. It just felt like they were feeling him. It just felt like they were just feeling it up. It didn't make sense to me at
No.
all. At all. It didn't, the whole fight. And did you see how Porsha called, like when Drew wanted to go talk to Porsha? And I didn't even understand why Drew wanted to talk to Porsha in that very chaotic place. They had their kids and everything. Why did she want to talk to her about it there? But she wanted to talk to Porsha, and Porsha's like, "Oh, I saw that she has somebody." I'm like, "Why are you insulting somebody's sister? Like, why did Porsha have to go there? You can say your point." Even me myself, I found it awkward for Drew wanting to have a chat there when they have kids and that place was so noisy and so a lot of things were there. But why was she coming for Drew's sister? Drew's sister did not offend her.
Nah, but I think she kind of looked at Drew's sister like, oh, it's gonna be two because these are sisters. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm with my sister's getting into an argument, I'm gonna jump right in. Because I already know my sister's side, and I'm gonna defend my sister. You know what I'm saying? Rather it's saying, she's not that type of person. She would never, you know, want to try and take your man or whatever the conversation is about. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
maybe Portia felt like, okay, and that's an older sister. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like Drew and her sister are a few years apart. They like 10, 11, maybe 12, 13 years apart. You know what I'm saying? So she felt like, oh, she got like family backup here. And she wants to confront me and talk to me. Shit, I'm not about to talk to her. Then you got Brooklyn over there saying, my mommy says she's gonna text you. It's like commotion. The kids are all there. They hyped up off of sweet apple cider and you yeah, that was the wrong place you know, to talk to me, inbox me, email me, come over and say, hey, girl, I really need to have a sit down with you. Can we arrange something? That would have been the more sensible thing to do. But, you know, it is what it is. And Portia just wasn't having it, you know. It was the wrong place. They already had shit already jumping off there, you know?
Oh.
So yeah, wrong time, wrong place. I don't want all these arguments around my young kids, you know? Where these heifers are
Mhm.
acting like they don't know how to act. You know what I'm saying? And then you get me upset and then my kid is getting nervous. Nah, we're not about to do that.
Mm. Well, let's see. I just see. I did understand where she was coming from. She was pissed off that Drew wanted to speak to her that day. Even me, I was like, Drew, read the fucking room.
Shit.
This is not where you should be having this kind of conversation. There are kids running around. The whole
Yeah.
place is noisy. Like, what kind of conversation can you have there? You will never be able to comprehend anything that's been said to you there.
Right.
So I did understand Porsha getting pissed off that Drew wanted to talk to her there. But what me I didn't like was her calling her sister names. That part she could have just ignored or not said anything about it and just focused on the fact that this was a wrong place for them to be having that conversation.
Right. I
Well,
think when she made the refer to Big D, it kind of made me think of what is that movie? With jeez. There was a character called Big D in the movie with Cat Williams, um Chris Tucker. They call Chris Tucker Smokey.
yeah.
Uh, um I don't know if you've ever seen the movie. I can't think of the name of the movie right now, but they made a part two of it too. But there was a character in there called Big D where she ate like she used to like want to eat all the snacks. So when she mentioned Big D, I kind of referred back to that, and I'm like, okay, that was wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, it seemed like Drew's sister had challenges before that. We were a little bit privy to by watching the show, you know, and I didn't see a reason for her Portia to be insulted, by the sister.
Mm. Well, let's just see how. And now we're seeing the next week's episode. I think that's where we're going to see what really happened with Kenya and the new girl. Is it
Mm-hmm.
Bethany?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to pronounce her name. I guess that's where everything went to hell for Kenya. Mm, because it's looking like that's the episode.
Well,
Um,
let's discuss before you even go that far. Let's
yeah.
discuss Portia getting together with the waffle chick that has the restaurant. I can't think of her
What's her
name.
name?
Oh,
Let me try to check on it online. You can't keep on calling her the waffle chick.
yeah. Uh,
Let me check online. Let me check online.
oh,
Um,
while you check,
okay.
I'm just gonna say
Hey, go
this.
on, go on.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this. The way the conversation started, you know, the the hey, I'm gonna kick back and just see what this is gonna be all about before I even get me a drink, because I'm checking the temperature. It seemed like it was that type of meeting with the
Kelly.
both of them.
Is it Kelly?
Kelly, yes, that's her name. So I felt like Kelly was basically checking the temperature, and so was Portia. You know, I didn't understand the meeting. you know oh, we're gonna squash this. Like, first off, why you in grown folks business? you know just talking about why is Kelly all in Portia's business? You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
like, you don't even have a marriage to talk about. Like, what happened with your shit? You know what I'm saying? Before you come for my
Yeah.
shit, who are you? you know
Mm-hmm.
Those would have been my questions, not, hey, let's go meet, let's talk this out. It'd have been like, bitch, who the fuck are you? You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, I know who you are because I know this, and this. See, I would have been to research some shit about you. You know what I'm saying? So don't come for me, not unless I send for you. you know? Don't come for me, not unless I call for you. You know? Because I'm coming like hell on wheels. You're not going to be able to control or handle this, but it tripped me out. how they were just sitting there, and then all of a sudden it was a kumbaya, and they were smiling. Oh, you my dog too. Let's dap each other. Like, what kind of shit? What? This bitch
Mm.
just got through talking about you. But hey, if that's the way you guys make a storyline, that's the way you make a storyline. But me personally, I'm gonna dig your ass out first. I'm not bowing. You know what I'm saying? Because see, this is real woman shit over here. You know what I'm saying? You don't come get all up in my business, and then I'm gonna sit back and have a meal and a drink with you. We breaking bread, and
Mm.
then we're dapping each other up. Hell no. So I just thought that was kind of crazy. But I was like, oh, they need a storyline. Okay. Keep it cute.
Yeah. For me, Porsha sometimes be doing things that I don't understand. You know, she's sometimes, I'm sorry, cray cray. um, right now, I don't know whether you know that her and Shemi's are no longer friends. They have an issue
With who?
right now. And Porsha and Shemi's,
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know.
yeah, yeah, they are no longer friends as at now. So I hope we see it play out on the show, or maybe it happened after the show finished airing. But they are no longer friends, and now guess who she's close with?
Who?
Bethany.
What?
I'm telling you.
Oh
She
my
even
God.
posted her on her Instagram being like the real one.
Oh my God. They need to
Yeah.
stop. They need to stop. They really need.
Yeah.
Ooh, you know
And you
what?
remember that when they were filming for the season, her and Kenya were like friends. Kenya was like, oh, Porsha, people were wondering, will Porsha and Kenya be enemies, right? But they were
Right.
like, you know what? We're good, we're friends. And now Kenya seeing that being like, oh, wow, traitor.
Mm,
Kenya took that and wrote traitor because, yeah, that's Porsha for you. Porsha has also been a little bit of a being girl with Phaedra.
right.
So I don't see with Porsha and Phaedra, I don't usually put so much mind to what they do because they can flip any minute.
Mm,
And I don't even check on their friendship because they can flip their friendship any moment. So I don't really be trusting them.
mm,
So when I saw that she's now friends with Bethany, I was like, ooh, that was surprising.
mm. Yeah, that's.
Especially knowing that because of Bethany that Kenya was scrapped out of um the Real Housewives.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, I think it was Bethany's I think nude pictures that Kenya exposed. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. That's why I say it's gonna probably start from next week's episode. We're gonna see it play out.
Okay.
So if they will put it out, but I think we're gonna see it. But that's what happened. They said she leaked her photos, and that's wrong. You shouldn't do that.
What
Um,
type of photos were they?
I think they said it was nudes or sexual photos, something like that.
Of
I don't
Kenya?
know. No, of Bethany.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think they said according to them. That's what I'm saying. I'm happy that we're getting there, so we'll see exactly what happened. But according to the
Hmm.
story, when it was the show season was still filming, they said Kenya and how we're going at it. Like the
Hmm.
lady was, how you could see how she talks on the show, right?
Yeah.
She literally like that kind of thing that I push you and push you, I push you, I push you to the wall, then you then go and do something stupid. That kind of thing.
Hmm.
Like apparently, she has pushed Kenya so much to the wall. Then Kenya wanted to retaliate, then did that stupid thing. All right.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
that kind of situation, nobody's going to remember the things you did to push that person to that extent. They will only remember the stupid thing you did
True.
to revenge. So I feel like that was the problem, that Kenya allowed her to get into her head to bring herself that level to do that stuff, you know. But I still understand. It's human beings' feelings. Sometimes that's why sometimes I always try my best to always hold my emotions, because once I get pissed off, sometimes I do things that when I'm now calm, I'm down, I be regretting so hard. And I always hate to put myself in that situation where I then, when my head is calm, I now start regretting what I did. I think it's one of that kind of situation. She pushed Kenya. Kenya did that stupid thing, and it had repercussions for Kenya.
Right.
Yeah. And
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
at that time, Porsha was at Kenya's side, being like Bethany was very rude, was very bad. That time, Porsha was siding with Kenya and going against Bethany. So for her to right now be saying Bethany is the real one, I'm surprised.
Mm. Wow. I can't wait to see what that's all about. 'Cause
Yeah.
that sounds that's another storyline.
Hmm.
Jeez.
Yeah. That's why I said I can't wait for next week episode, because it seems like that's where it's gonna start. The everything's gonna start coming in.
Mm-hmm.
You saw in the trailer that her and Bethany were having going at it, right?
Yeah.
The sneak peek for next week episode. So anyway, well, I guess we're gonna see that. Is there any other thing we haven't covered
No,
before we
I think we basically
end it?
covered everything on Atlanta Housewives.
Well, anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Ladon, for also joining us. Thank you, Lenise Robinson. Thanks for joining us from Facebook. See you guys same time next week for part 2 reunion of Married to Medicine and the Real House of Atlanta episode 4. Have a nice day, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.